Can you believe it? The Galactic Confederation's been strutting around for 12,000 years, and its alien bigwigs never miss a chance to remind us humans of it, like we're some clueless newbies crashing their cosmic party. Picture this. Humanity, the awkward neighbor rocking socks with sandals, tripped onto the galactic scene just 27 years ago when our first faster-than-light probe went rogue and smashed into a Xerillian diplomatic ship. Talk about a grand entrance. They've barely figured out how to zip out of their solar system without breaking stuff. That's the snarky vibe bouncing around the Confederation Council's fancy chambers. But guess what? We humans, with our wild mix of dumb luck and downright scary cleverness, snagged a seat at the galactic grown-ups table. How's that for a plot twist? The Joint Military Academy on Proxima Station? Oh, it's the Confederation's half-hearted nod to us Earthlings maybe being useful someday. Officially, it's all about goodwill, but let's be real. It's their way of keeping an eye on us unpredictable humans. The Academy's a melting pot, training cadets from all 37 species to fend off galaxy-sized threats, from space pirates to cosmic storms. But what's the real lesson here? Hierarchy, baby. The Vargoyans, with their 6,000-year military swagger, snag all the top spots. Telepathic Myconids? They're the brainy spies. Silicon-based Petrovirians? Engineering wizards. And humans? Well, we're the overly enthusiastic puppies, according to General Kraction of the Dorsani Imperium. Eager, messy, and totally clueless about their limits. He sneered at a faculty meeting, his 7-foot, shimmering exoskeleton practically screaming authority. Those 16 combat medallions pinned to his chest? They demand obedience, no questions asked. The pecking order's crystal clear. Ancient species rule, younger ones scramble in the middle, and humans? We're stuck at the bottom, the galactic elite's favorite punching bag. Everyone gets it, except us humans. Why can't we just stay in our lane? Because that's not who we are. Enter Cadet, First Class Ethan Delgado. This guy never meant to be humanity's poster boy, but here he is, shaking things up. Growing up in the gritty, overcrowded slums of New Terra, Ethan signed up for the Confederation forces for 2 reasons: to escape Earth's suffocating megacities and, let's be honest, for the free food. Another thrilling lecture on Dorsani battle formations, he grumbled, flicking through his holopad while weaving through Proxima Station's sleek, curved hallways. What's next? Galactic peace through perfect hexagons. Ethan's not big on tradition, but he's got a physicist's knack for force and a street brawler's gut for survival. His academy eval called him dangerously creative, a badge of honor back home. But here? It's practically a curse in the Confederation's rigid world. 3 years at the academy taught Ethan to keep his bright ideas under wraps, until the practical exams, at least. Unlike his genetically engineered classmates, bred for war since day one, Ethan fought his way in with raw talent and what his interviewer called alarming levels of sheer stubbornness. Short, quick, and a master at flying under the radar until it's go time. Ethan's got that human knack for seeming ordinary, right until he's not. General Kraction, though? He's got a weird obsession with the human cadets, like they're lab rats in his grand experiment. Those 16 medallions aren't just for show. Each one marks a victory where his genius crushed Confederation enemies. His blue-black exoskeleton, etched with 30 generations of lineage, gleams like a warning. The humans are a letdown, he reported to Dorsani High Command, his voice dripping with disdain. No Vargoyan strength, no Myconid focus, no Petrovirian tech savvy. They're just average. But deep down, what really bugs him, though he'd rather die than admit it, is how humans, especially Ethan, refuse to embrace their so-called mediocrity. Questioning a 16 metal general's tactics in a simulation? Who does that kid think he is? Tensions at the academy aren't always in your face, but they're there, simmering. Vargoyans accidentally bump humans in the dining hall. Instructors skip over human hands raised high. Training partners ghost when humans need a spar. Just another day in interstellar paradise. Ethan quipped to his roommate, a Myconid named Zynar, whose spores glow bright orange every time Ethan cracks a joke. Get this. Kraction had me scrubbing quantum torpedo tubes with a toothbrush after I called out his Regelian pincer maneuver's weak spot. Zynar's spores shifted to a nervous purple. Ever think about dialing down the human vibe? Ethan's grin was pure mischief. And miss all the fun? No way. The Academy's tactical response simulation is the ultimate test. Future commanders versus future cannon fodder. Holographic enemies, stun weapons, and real stakes. It's like the Confederation's version of a reality show. Today's challenge. Craction boomed, his exoskeleton glinting under the training deck's harsh lights, is defending a civilian outpost from a Krivalax insurgency. His compound eyes locked on the human cadets with a smug Dorsani smirk. Even the simplest species should get this one. Ouch, talk about a low blow. Ethan stood at parade rest, face blank, but inside, he was fuming. Everyone knew the sim was rigged for failure. Krivalax attack patterns are chaos incarnate, and protecting civilians means spreading your forces thin. The Academy's dirty little secret? A 60% casualty rate is acceptable. Brutal, right? Delgado. Craction's voice sliced through the chatter. Your tactical recommendation. It was a trap, and Ethan smelled it a mile away. Play it safe, and he'd look incompetent. Speak up, and he'd be slapped with insubordination. Standard protocols call for a hexagonal defense perimeter, sir, he said coolly, then paused just long enough to make it sting. But history shows Krivalax love exploiting predictable patterns. Bold move, Ethan. Craction's exoskeleton twitched, like he was squinting. Are you saying Confederation protocols are flawed, Cadet? Not at all, sir. Ethan shot back, all innocence. Just thinking about the enemy we're facing. Oh, he was walking a tightrope now. The sim kicked off, and, surprise, Ethan got stuck in the weakest sector. Worse, the Krivalax in his zone were jacked up way beyond normal training levels. Someone's screwing with the sims, hissed Cadet Voris, a Petrovirian whose crystalline face was cracking under pressure as they crouched behind a holographic barricade. Ethan didn't bother replying. 6 terrified civilians, holograms, but so real, huddled nearby, and 2 Krivalax warriors were already circling. The tactical display showed the rest of the perimeter holding strong while Ethan's sector was getting pummeled. Delgado, Craction's voice purred over the comms, fake concern oozing. Maybe it's time to try your little alternative to our protocols. Your sector's falling apart. What happened next? Pure Academy legend, and not how Craction planned it. Ethan ditched the defensive post, grabbed a civilian, and sprinted straight at the Krivalax. Crazy, right? The holographic insurgents, coded to snag hostages, froze for a split second, just enough for Ethan to slide under them and hack their secure comms array. When the smoke cleared, Ethan's sector didn't just survive. It had the lowest civilian casualty rate. The catch? He broke 16 Confederation combat rules. Worth it? You bet. The debrief was a volcano ready to blow. Reckless. Unacceptable. A total disregard for doctrine. Craction roared, his exoskeleton blazing crimson as he towered over Ethan. Your primitive stunts put civilians at risk. Ethan didn't flinch, eyes locked forward. The civilians survived, sir. Cool as ice. Luck, human. Craction spat. Luck isn't strategy. The room was electric, non-human cadets staring in awe and a little fear. Nobody messed with a 16 medal general. Until now. Things hit fever pitch at the Academy's ceremonial review, with big shots from all 37 species packed into the grand observation deck. The cadets' precision drills, honed over millennia, were a sight to behold, until Craction set Ethan up to fail, slipping him fake coordinates. The review was ticking along like a perfect clock when Ethan stepped forward, right on cue, and, bam, ended up 5 meters out of place. The formation shattered, cadets scrambling to cover his mistake. The crowd gasped. Even civilians could see the glitch in the flawless pattern. Craction pounced, striding onto the parade ground like a predator savoring the kill. Cadet Delgado, his voice boomed, amplified for the VIPs. Care to explain why you've humiliated the Academy today? Ethan stood ramrod straight, eyes ahead. Sir, I followed the coordinates from my briefing, sir. Craction's tone turned venomous. Are you implying my staff made a mistake? That this isn't your human failure? Trap set. Deny it, and Ethan's incompetent. Confirm it, and he's accusing a superior. I'm just stating the facts as I see them, sir, Ethan said, dodging the noose. Masterful. Craction's exoskeleton flared crimson. Facts. Let me give you facts, human. He circled Ethan, voice dripping with scorn. Your species has brought nothing to the Confederation. Your presence here is a political favor, nothing more. You lack the genes, the history, the ability to compete at our level. The crowd shifted uncomfortably. This wasn't discipline anymore. It was personal. You insult 12,000 years of tradition just by existing. Crackshin was nose to nose with Ethan now. Got nothing to say? Ethan didn't budge. No excuse, sir. That cool defiance? It pushed Crackshin over the edge. His claw lashed out, slapping Ethan so hard his head snapped sideways. The crack echoed. The room froze. Physical discipline? Against academy rules. Who'd dare challenge a general? Ethan slowly faced forward, a thin cut on his cheek oozing red. Then, the impossible. Crackshin's claw started shaking. His exoskeleton, red with rage, flickered through colors, blue, green, purple, like a glitching hologram. What's happening? He stammered, eyes bulging at his trembling limb. 3 seconds. That's all it took for everything to change. Second one. Ethan's sweat glands kicked in. No big deal, right? Wrong. Human sweat's got sodium, potassium, calcium, stuff that, when it hits Dorsani exoskeleton pores, sparks a neurochemical firestorm. My claw. Crackshin gasped, his arm twisting unnaturally, colors spiraling into zigzags and polka dots. No way. Second two. Human skin proteins, built to fight Earth's germs, locked onto Dorsani nerve receptors like a key in a vault. Harmless to us, but to Crackshin? Total chaos. What did you do? He squeaked, voice hitting octaves no Dorsani should hit. His other limbs twitched, and a Petravirian medic's scanner lit up. His neural systems flooding with pleasure, she whispered, shocked. Pleasure? From a slap? Second three. Ethan's stress hormones, adrenaline, cortisol, endorphins, seeped through tiny cracks in Crackshin's exoskeleton, unleashing what scientists later called hypereuphoric neural disruption syndrome. Crackshin dropped to his knees, eyes wide like a spooked bug, limbs flailing in a bizarre dance. Stop it, he begged, giggling, shouting, whispering, totally unhinged. Please stop. The audience was stunned, jaws dropped, as the mighty general writhed before Ethan, who stood stock still, maybe with a tiny smirk. I think the general's having an allergic reaction to human biology, Ethan said calmly, voice cutting through the silence. Something in our primitive makeup, maybe? Savage. The Myconid physician rushed in, scanner buzzing. His pleasure centers are at 300%, she gasped. It's like every happy moment's hitting him at once. Crackshin's exoskeleton pulsed with pink hearts on lime green. Humiliating for a Dorsani. Don't touch me again, he pleaded, gazing at Ethan like a lovesick puppy. I'll do anything. Commandant Vorin, a Vargoyan with tentacles tied in knots, cleared her throat. Cadet Delgado, is this on purpose? Ethan's eyes were pure innocence. No, sir. Just standing here as ordered. The crowd was reeling. Had reality flipped? Physics cadets checked their gear, half expecting the universe to glitch. Please, human, Ethan, whatever you want. Crackshin wailed, his voice a pitiful squeak. A ship, a promotion, a space station in your name. He sprawled on the ground, exoskeleton flashing neon yellow with purple stripes, pulsing to the Academy's music. It's too much. Everything's beautiful and awful. The Petravirian ambassador's crystal form cracked from the stress, and Myconids glowed orange, totally baffled. Ethan stood like a rock, blood clotting on his cheek. Mercy, Crackshin sobbed, trying to bow while his limbs betrayed him. I beg humanity's forgiveness. Your biology's genius. A Vargoyan cadet whispered. Should we help? His leader hissed. And end up like that? Crackshin was hugging Ethan's boot and crawling away at the same time. Vorin stepped closer, keeping 2 meters between her and Ethan. Cadet, explain this. Ethan's tone was casual. Just a reaction to human biochemistry, Commandant. Maybe the xenobiology files need a refresh. I'll rewrite them all. Crackshin babbled. Fun studies. Just stop it. Vorin's tentacles twitched. Is this just him or all Dorsani? First time a Dorsani's hit me, sir. Ethan said, emphasizing hit. The crowd murmured. Physical discipline was banned. I hit him. Crackshin confessed, voice echoing. Court-martial me. Anything. The physician edged in with a neural stabilizer. May I treat him, Cadet? Ethan nodded. I don't want him suffering. The stabilizer calmed Craction's worst spasms, but his exoskeleton kept its clownish colors. Temporary, the physician said, eyeing Craction hiding behind her kit. Voron's tentacles screamed headache. This goes to the board. Delgado, you're dismissed. Medical now. Ethan saluted, turned, and strode off. Wait. Craction squeaked. Are all humans like this? Ethan glanced back, a sly smile. Human biology's a mixed bag, sir. Some reactions might be milder. Others? Way worse. The aliens froze, rethinking humans entirely. By morning, the story was everywhere, classified, but on every cadet's device, outviewing Galactic soaps. Craction was shipped to the Dorsani homeworld for medical leave, flinching at human mentions and hiding under desks at Earth Picks. Ethan, part troublemaker, part science project. The xenobiology team begged for samples, and Ethan played along, knowing he held the cards. Fascinating, the lead scientist gushed. Earth's salty oceans gave you compounds that fry Dorsani nerves. Total accident. So we're toxic? Ethan asked. Not toxic, overwhelming. The disciplinary hearing was a bureaucratic circus. The panel had to call out Craction's rule-breaking without shaming the Dorsani. Your reaction was concerning, they told Ethan. Sir, I just stood there, he said, all innocence. Checkmate. New rules. Human cadets got gloves and patches to block sweat compounds. Ethan didn't mention those were still in blood, spit, and tears. Let the Confederation figure that out. The Academy vibe flipped. Vargoyans steered clear, Myconids bowed, Petravirians sought human input. They're scared, Zynar said in the now-roomy human dining section. Not just of me, of us all. Ethan shrugged. I'd rather have respect. Zynar's spores turned blue. They're learning fear and respect go hand in hand. The curriculum added biochemical safety and no-contact sims. Human cadets loved the irony. Ethan's file got a special note, resilient, with unexpected tactical edges. Fast track for diplomacy. 6 months later, Resolution 42 dropped. 347 pages on handling human biology, including a hilarious warning about mood-altering tears. Ethan graduated early, Voron pinning his bars with hazmat gloves. Your contributions to interspecies relations are unique, she said. Ethan grinned. Can't wait for more cultural exchanges. Officers flinched. Humanity's stock soared. Battleships added human advisors. Trade deals favored Earth, and the Dorsani pushed a friendship plan while keeping diplomats far away. On the flagship Unyielding, Ethan watched stars blur, Zynar at his side. The Vargoyans want human security at the Krivalax peace talks, Zynar said, spores amused. Our touchy-feely rep's a bargaining chip. Ethan laughed. From primitives to VIPs in a snap. What's next for humanity's bag of tricks? Across the galaxy, new human cadets arrived, studied with respect and a safe distance. 28 years in, humanity was just warming up. The debriefing room was a powder keg ready to explode. Unacceptable. Reckless. A complete mockery of our sacred doctrines. General Zoratha's exoskeleton blazed a furious crimson as he towered over Cadet Maya Alvarez, his voice booming like a supernova. You put civilians in jeopardy with your primitive, harebrained improvisation. Can you imagine the nerve of this guy, tearing into her like that? Maya stood tall, eyes locked forward, her voice steady as steel. The civilians survived, sir. Talk about ice in her veins. Zoratha's mandibles twitched with rage. Luck, human. Pure dumb luck. That's not strategy. The tension in the room was so thick you could slice it with a plasma cutter. Non-human cadets stared, jaws practically on the floor, a mix of shock and secret awe in their eyes. Who dares challenge General Zorath, the 16-medal legend of the Dorsani Imperium? Nobody. Until Maya came along, that is. But the real fireworks hit during the Academy's ceremonial review. Oh, what a spectacle. Picture this. Dignitaries, military hotshots, and senior staff from all 37 species crammed onto the grand observation deck, watching cadets perform drills so precise they'd make a quantum clock jealous. Zorath, that sly old general, had placed Maya at a critical spot in the formation, where even the tiniest slip-up would scream failure to every onlooker. What nobody knew. He'd fed her the wrong coordinates during the briefing. Dirty trick, right? The review was ticking along flawlessly, every step in perfect sync, until it wasn't. Maya stepped forward, exactly as her instructions dictated, and bam! She was 5 meters out of place. The formation shattered like a cheap holoscreen, Cadets scrambling to cover her mistake. A gasp swept through the crowd, so loud it echoed off the station's walls. Even the civilians in the back could see the glitch in the otherwise perfect pattern. Talk about a gut punch moment. Zorth seized his chance, striding onto the parade ground with the swagger of a predator who'd been plotting this all along. "Cadet Alvarez," he bellowed, his voice amplified to shake the souls of the VIPs. "Care to explain why you've chosen to disgrace this academy today?" The guy was practically salivating for her downfall. Maya stood at attention, eyes forward, cool as a comet. "Sir, I followed the coordinates provided in my briefing, sir." Simple, direct, and oh so bold. Zorth's tone turned venomous, a low, dangerous purr. "Are you suggesting my staff botched it? That this isn't your pathetic human incompetence?" The trap was set. Deny it, and she's admitting failure. Confirm it, and she's pointing fingers at a superior. What a tightrope. "I'm just stating the facts as I see them, sir," Maya replied, dodging the noose with the finesse of a seasoned diplomat. You could feel the air crackle with tension. Zorth's exoskeleton flushed a deep, angry crimson. "Facts. Let me school you on facts, human." He circled her like a shark, his voice dripping with contempt. "Fact. Your species has contributed zilch to the Confederation. Fact. Your presence here is a diplomatic handout, nothing more. Fact. You lack the genetic polish, the historical weight, the basic ability to keep up with us." Ouch, that's harsh. The crowd shifted uncomfortably. This wasn't just discipline. It was a personal attack, raw and ugly. Your very existence here spits in the face of 12,000 years of tradition. Zorth hissed, now inches from Maya's face, his compound eyes glinting with malice. "Got nothing to say, human?" Maya didn't flinch, her face a mask of calm defiance. "No excuse, sir." That unyielding composure? It was like throwing fuel on Zorth's fire. His right claw lashed out, faster than a laser pulse, slapping Maya's face with a crack that echoed like a thunderclap. Her head snapped sideways, and the room went dead silent. Physical discipline? Against Academy rules. Who'd ever seen a 16-medal general crossed like this? For one heart-stopping moment, nobody moved. Maya slowly turned her face forward, a thin line of blood trickling from a cut where Zorth's jagged exoskeleton had sliced her cheek. Then, holy stars, something bizarre happened. Zorth's claw started trembling, then spasming wildly. His exoskeleton, red with rage just seconds ago, flickered through colors, blue, green, purple, like a malfunctioning holo display. "What's happening?" he stammered, his voice cracking as he stared at his quivering limb, eyes wide with panic. 3 seconds. That's all it took to flip the galaxy upside down. Second one. Maya's cheek, stinging from the slap, kicked her sweat glands into overdrive. No big deal, right? Wrong. Human sweat's packed with sodium, potassium, calcium, magnesium, stuff that, when it seeps into a Dorsani exoskeleton's tiny pores, sparks a neurochemical explosion. "My claw," Zorth gasped, his arm twisting into angles that defied biology. The shaking spread to his chest, his exoskeleton flashing chaotic patterns, zigzags, spirals, and, get this, polka dots. Polka dots on a Dorsani general? Unheard of. Second 2. The proteins in Maya's skin, honed over millions of years to battle Earth's germs, latched onto Zorth's nerve receptors like a key in a lock. Harmless to humans, but to a Dorsani? Total neural chaos. "What have you done to me?" Zorth squeaked, his voice hitting pitches no self-respecting general should ever hit. His other limbs started twitching, and a Petrovirian medic in the crowd fired up her scanner, her crystalline face shimmering with confusion. "Impossible," she muttered, his neural systems drowning in pleasure. Pleasure? From a slap? What's going on here? Second 3. The final blow, Maya's stress hormones, adrenaline, cortisol, endorphins, surged through micro-cuts in Zorth's exoskeleton, triggering what scientists later called hyper-euphoric neural disruption syndrome. Picture this. General Zorth, 16 metal terror of the galaxy, collapsed to his knees, eyes dilated like a spooked insectoid kitten. His 6 limbs flailed, some waving like he was signaling for help, others attempting what looked like a clumsy dance routine. "Make it stop," he whispered, then shouted, then giggled, his emotional control obliterated. "Please, make it stop." Can you even imagine the mighty Zorth reduced to this? The audience was frozen, eyes wide, as the fearsome general writhed before Maya, who stood like a statue, maybe with the tiniest smirk tugging at her lips. "I believe," she said, her voice cutting through the stunned silence. "The general's having an allergic reaction to human biology. Something in our primitive makeup, perhaps?" Oh, that was a mic drop. The Myconid physician rushed forward, scanner buzzing like a swarm of bees. "Unprecedented," she gasped. "His pleasure centers are firing at 300% capacity. It's like every happy moment in his life is hitting him at once. Too much, too intense, he can't think." Zorth babbled, drool dripping from his mandibles, his exoskeleton pulsing with pink hearts on a lime-green background. Pink hearts? On a Dorsani? Mortifying. "Please," he begged, gazing at Maya with desperate, almost worshipful eyes. "Don't touch me again. I'll do anything." The guy was a wreck, sprawled on the parade ground, all dignity gone. Commandant Solara, a Vargoyan whose tentacles were knotted in diplomatic distress, cleared her throat. "Cadet Alvarez, are you doing this on purpose?" Maya's eyes were pure innocence. "Sir, no, sir. I'm just standing here as ordered." The tables had turned so fast, physics cadets started checking their quantum calculators, half convinced reality itself had glitched. "Please, human, Alvarez, Maya, whatever you want to be called," Zorth wailed, his voice a high-pitched whine that baffled the Academy's translation software. "I'll promote you, give you a ship, name a space station after your family." His exoskeleton flashed neon yellow with purple stripes, pulsing in sync with the Academy's background music. "Humiliating." "Make it stop," he whimpered, his compound eyes spinning like rogue satellites. "It's too much. Everything's so beautiful, yet so awful." The crowd was speechless, the Petrovirian ambassador's crystalline form cracking from the sheer stress of this galactic drama. Myconid observers glowed bright orange, their confusion practically lighting up the room. What was happening to their invincible general? Maya stood calm, the only steady figure in the chaos, the cut on her cheek already clotting as human biology did its thing. "Mercy," Zorth sobbed, trying to bow despite his flailing limbs. "I beg humanity's forgiveness. Your biological brilliance is unmatched." A Vargoyan cadet whispered, "Should we help?" His squad leader hissed, "And end up like that?" Zorth was now clutching Maya's boot while trying to crawl away. Talk about a hot mess. Commandant Solara, tentacles still twisted in knots, stepped closer, keeping a safe 2-meter distance from Maya. "Cadet Alvarez, explain this madness." Maya's voice was level, almost conversational. "I believe, Commandant, the general's reacting to human biochemistry. Maybe our xenobiology files need an update." "I'll rewrite them all." Zorth babbled, mandibles quivering. "Fund new studies. Build research centers. Just make it stop." Solara's tentacles twitched with anxiety. "Is this just him, or all Dorsani?" "Unknown, sir," Maya said, her tone pure military precision. "This is the first time a Dorsani officer struck me." That word, struck, hit like a photon torpedo. Physical discipline was banned, and everyone suddenly remembered it. "I struck her. I confess." Zorth's voice echoed across the parade ground. "Court-martial me. Exile me. Anything." The physician edged in with a neural stabilizer, her appendages trembling. "May I treat him, Cadet Alvarez?" Maya nodded. "Of course, doctor. I don't want him to suffer." The stabilizer kicked in, easing Zorth's worst spasms, but his exoskeleton kept its clownish colors, a neon embarrassment. "The neural disruption's temporary," the physician said, scanner still whirring. "But the psychological toll," she trailed off as Zorth tried to hide behind her medical kit, the once terrifying general reduced to a quivering wreck. Solara's tentacles screamed bureaucratic nightmare. "This incident goes straight to the board. Alvarez, you're dismissed from the review. Report to medical for documentation." Maya saluted with textbook precision, turned, and strode off. "Wait." Zorth squeaked, his voice still unnaturally high. "Are all humans like this? Do you all do this?" Maya paused, glancing back with a sly, professional smile. "Sir, human biochemistry's a mixed bag. Some reactions might be milder. Others could be way worse. The crowd went silent, every alien quietly rethinking their view of humans. This primitive species? Suddenly, they looked like galactic game changers. Oh, the chaos. The dignitaries and cadets stood like statues, jaws dropped, as the Petravirian ambassador's crystalline body actually cracked from the sheer stress of this jaw-dropping diplomatic disaster. A cluster of Myconid observers glowed bright orange, their spores screaming confusion in a way that practically lit up the room. Can you believe it? This was no ordinary incident. This was history in the making. Check his neural readings, the Academy physician whispered to her team, her voice trembling with awe. I've never seen pleasure centers overloaded like this without frying the brain. It's like every joyful moment of his life is crashing into him at once. And there, in the eye of the storm, stood Cadet Liam Harper, cool as a comet, his parade rest stance unshaken. The thin cut on his cheek, where General Thaler's claw had struck, was already clotting, human biology doing its thing. No big deal. But oh, what a big deal this was. Mercy, General Thaler wailed, his voice a pitiful squeak as he tried to bow, his 6 limbs flailing like a malfunctioning hollow droid. I beg the human species for forgiveness. Your biological brilliance, your evolutionary genius, it's unmatched. Can you imagine? The mighty Thaler, a 16-metal Dorsani war hero, groveling before a human cadet. Should we do something? A Vargoyan cadet hissed to his squad leader, eyes wide with panic. Like what? Came the sharp reply. Touch the human and end up like that. He pointed at Thaler, who was, get this, trying to hug Liam's boot while simultaneously crawling away in a pathetic shuffle. Talk about a galactic meltdown. Commandant Varina, her Vargoyan tentacles twisted into knots of diplomatic dread, finally mustered the courage to step forward, keeping a cautious 2-meter gap from Liam. Cadet Harper, what in the stars is happening to General Thaler? Her voice was laced with urgency. Can you blame her? Liam's tone was calm, almost casual, like he was discussing the weather. I believe, Commandant, the General's having an unexpected reaction to human biochemistry. Maybe our xenobiology database needs a little TLC, don't you think? That cool-headedness. Pure human grit. I'll fix it all. Thaler blurted, his mandibles quivering like leaves in a storm. Rewrite the whole database. Fund new studies. Build research centers. Just make this stop. His exoskeleton, still flashing neon yellow with purple stripes, pulsed to the Academy's background music, humiliating for a Dorsani of his stature. Varina's tentacles twitched with anxiety. Is this just him, or are all Dorsani at risk? She pressed, her voice tight. Liam's reply was textbook military precision. Unknown, sir. This is the first time a Dorsani officer struck me. That word, struck, landed like a photon torpedo, rippling through the crowd. Physical discipline? Strictly forbidden by Confederation rules. Everyone suddenly remembered that little detail, and the air crackled with tension. I struck him. I confess. Thaler's voice echoed across the parade ground, a desperate plea. Court-martial me. Exile me to the edge of the galaxy. Just don't let him touch me again. Can you picture the once fearsome general reduced to this? The Academy physician crept forward, clutching a neural stabilizer, her appendages shaking. May I try to treat him, Cadet Harper? Liam gave a single nod, all grace under pressure. Of course, Doctor. I don't want the general suffering. The stabilizer kicked in fast, dulling Thaler's wildest symptoms, but his exoskeleton kept its clownish colors, pink hearts on lime green, a Dorsani's worst nightmare. The neural disruption's temporary, the physician announced, her scanner still buzzing. But the psychological damage. She trailed off, watching Thaler cower behind her medical kit, a shadow of the terror he once was. Varina's tentacles knotted tighter, the Vargoyan equivalent of a migraine. This mess goes straight to the Academy board. Cadet Harper, you're dismissed from the review. Get to medical for documentation, now. Liam saluted with flawless precision, turned on his heel, and started walking away, every step radiating calm confidence. Wait. Thaler squeaked, his voice still high-pitched and frantic. Are there more like you? Do all humans do this? Liam paused, glancing back just enough to lock eyes with the general, a sly, professional smile playing on his lips. Sir, human biochemistry's a wild card. Some reactions might be milder, some stronger. And some, he paused for effect, could be way, way worse. The crowd went dead silent, every alien mentally rewriting their opinion of humans. Dangerous? Oh, you bet. I've made a colossal mistake, Thaler whispered, his exoskeleton fading to a pale, frightened blue. We all have. And just like that, the galaxy's view of humanity shifted. News spreads faster than a hyperspace jump in a military outfit, and by morning, every soul on Proxima Station was buzzing about the incident. Officially classified? Sure, but somehow it was on every cadet's device, racking up more views than the Confederation's hottest entertainment streams. General Thaler quietly shipped off to the Dorsani homeworld for extended medical leave. Rumors swirled he'd flinch at the mere mention of humans and dive under furniture at the sight of Earth's blue-green hologram. Can you imagine the mighty Thaler, spooked by a planet? Liam found himself in a weird spot. Part troublemaker, part science superstar. The xenobiology department practically begged for tissue samples, and Liam played along with a grin, knowing he held all the cards. Fascinating, the chief xenobiologist gushed, peering at Liam's cells under a scope. It's an accident of evolution. Earth's salty oceans gave you compounds that wreak havoc on Dorsani neural pathways. Liam raised an eyebrow. So, we're toxic. The scientist chuckled. Not toxic, pharmacologically overwhelming. It's disruptive, but won't cause lasting harm. Still, what a game changer. The disciplinary hearing was a bureaucratic circus, a masterclass in dodging the real issue. The senior officers had to call out Thaler's rule-breaking without admitting the Dorsani Imperium got humiliated by a species still figuring interstellar travel. Cadet Harper. The hearing officer began, squirming in his seat. General Thaler's actions were unfortunate, but your biochemical reaction? Equally troubling. Liam's response. Pure innocence. Sir, I didn't know I had a biochemical reaction. I was just standing at attention, per regulations. Boom. The panel exchanged awkward glances. Technically, he was right. What could they say? Still, the officer pressed on. We need new protocols. All human cadets will wear these. He held up thin gloves and a skin patch. The gloves block direct contact, and the patch neutralizes your sweat's compounds. Liam accepted them with a solemn nod, keeping mum about how those compounds still lingered in human blood, saliva, and tears. Why spill all the secrets? Let the Confederation sweat it out. Pun intended. The Academy's vibe flipped overnight. Vargoyans, once eager to flex their muscle, now gave humans a wide berth in the corridors, like they were dodging a live plasma grenade. Myconids, super sensitive to chemical signals, started treating human cadets with almost reverent respect. Even the Petravirians, usually glued to their tech, invited humans into engineering talks, suddenly curious about their unique perspectives. The shift was seismic. They're scared of us. Liam's roommate, a myconid named Sci-Fi, observed as they sat in the now roomy human section of the dining hall, spores glowing a curious blue. Liam shrugged, a twinkle in his eye. Fear's not the goal. Respect? That's more like it. Sci-Fi's spores deepened to a thoughtful hue. They're figuring out fear and respect aren't so different after all. Ain't that the truth? The Academy scrambled to update its curriculum, tossing in new sections on interspecies biochemical safety and non-contact defense tactics. Combat sims now avoided physical touch, which human cadets found hilarious. Imagine the irony. Liam's personnel file got a special stamp and a glowing note from Verina herself. Cadet shows unmatched resilience and surprising tactical strengths. Recommend fast-tracking for command, with a focus on diplomatic roles where his human traits could sway outcomes. High praise for a so-called primitive. 6 months later, the Galactic Confederation Council dropped Resolution 42, a whopping 347-page beast titled Protocols for Safe Interaction with Terran Biochemistry. It covered everything from handshakes to emergency meds, and humans couldn't stop laughing at the appendix warning about mood-altering human tears. Seriously, tears? Liam earned his officer's commission 2 years early, and at his graduation, Verina pinned his lieutenant bars with, get this, hazmat gloves. Lieutenant Harper, she said, tentacles arranged in stiff formality. Your contributions to interspecies understanding are remarkable. Liam flashed a grin. Thank you, Commandant. I'm pumped for more cultural exchanges. Nearby officers flinched, half expecting another biochemical bombshell. Humanity's clout skyrocketed. Confederation battleships started carving out spots for human tactical advisors. Imagine that. Trade deals mysteriously swung Earth's way when human delegates showed up in person, their mere presence a bargaining chip. The Dorsani Imperium launched a friendship initiative with Earth, while quietly doubling the distance their diplomats had to keep from humans. Sneaky, but smart. Liam stood at the viewport of his new post, the Confederation flagship unyielding, watching stars blur past. Cypher, now the ship's comms officer, sidled up, spores twinkling with amusement. The Vargoyan ambassador wants human security at the Krivalax peace talks, he said. Seems our knack for causing neural chaos with a touch is a real power move. Liam chuckled. From barely evolved nobodies to diplomatic heavyweights. How's that for a glow-up? Cypher's spores shimmered philosophically. The universe loves its curveballs. Liam's gaze drifted back to the stars. Wonder what other human quirks will spring on the galaxy next. Oh, the possibilities. Across Confederation space, new human cadets rolled into the academy each year, no longer stuck cleaning quantum torpedo tubes with toothbrushes or told to know their place. Instead, they were studied with care, respect, and, let's be honest, a healthy dose of caution, just in case a slap wasn't the only thing that could make an alien general beg for mercy. 28 years at the Galactic grown-ups table, and humanity? We're just getting warmed up.